Hello, welcome to Behavior Analysis at the University of North Texas. We look forward to having you in our courses and supporting you as you progress towards completion of our verified course sequence. I'm Dr. Kinda Morrison. I'm a principal lecturer in the department, and I'm also the verified course sequence coordinator for Behavior Analysis Online. The Behavior Analysis Certification Board requires verified course sequences to share information with incoming students, and that is the purpose of this orientation. Please note that this information is also included in the next activity in this course, and it will be especially helpful to review that written information as it contains link to much of the information we're about to discuss in this video. As you watch this orientation, please be sure to make a note of any questions you may have. We're here to help, and we would certainly welcome your questions. Students enrolled in 5th edition coursework through Behavior Analysis Online, also known as BAO, will be pursuing the Pathway to Coursework Eligibility Requirements for certification through the Behavior Analysis Certification Board, also known as the BACB. To meet these requirements, students must have acceptable coursework, a master's degree in any field of study, acceptable fieldwork experience, and then must pass the BCBA exam. So first, acceptable coursework. Completing our 5th edition verified course sequence, that will meet that requirement. A master's degree in any field of study. You might hear from somebody that you need a degree in psychology, education, or behavior analysis, but that was actually an old requirement. Starting in 2022, students can have a master's degree in any field of study, and certainly our master's degree would count under that. Acceptable fieldwork. We do not provide fieldwork. And so it's important that you review the BACB fieldwork requirements that you'll need in order to sit for the exam. If nothing else, I would strongly advise you to have a plan for acquiring that fieldwork. And if possible, it would be helpful to be acquiring at least some of your documented fieldwork, or at least doing some kind of work in behavior analysis while you do your coursework. I mention this because past students have told us that the coursework was easier for them when they were working in the field. Okay, so and then the final thing is, of course, passing the BACB exam. You'll also find more information about that in the document that I have a link for right here. So for complete information about all of these requirements, please see the BACB website. This link is also available in the next activity in the course. And Pathway 2 is especially discussed on pages 8 to 9 of that document. But really, I would strongly advise you to familiarize yourself with the entire document, just because the stakes are so high. You want to make sure that you're fully aware of all of the requirements so there aren't any bad surprises later. All right, coursework. Let's talk about that first. The BAO verified course sequence provides students an opportunity to meet the acceptable coursework component required by the BACB. This requires students to obtain coursework hours in a variety of content areas. And you should have been directed to these content hour allocations when you were first in the course. And if you, or excuse me, in our sequence. And if you have not already reviewed this document, please be sure to see the UNT Behavior Analysis Online verified course content allocations for all 5th edition verified courses on the BAO website. If you cannot find this grid, please be sure to email us and we'll help you find it. Please also note that although the BACB requires a grade of C or better, Behavior Analysis Online requires a grade of B or better to be earned in each course in the sequence. If a lower grade is earned, the student must retake the course. All right, as mentioned earlier, we do not provide fieldwork, but students are required to obtain experience that is in compliance with the BACB fieldwork requirements before they can apply for certification. Supervisors and supervisees should review these standards before your experience starts, and you can find this information by looking for fieldwork standards at the BACB website, bacb.com. If you need to find a supervisor for this applied practical experience, please visit the BACB certificate registry on the BACB website. Okay, as mentioned before, you will need to pass the BACB exam. And again, you can find that information on the BACB website about the exam. All right, it's very important that we talk about some things related to ethics today. Although students are not yet certified through the BACB, they are subject to BACB Professional and Ethical Compliance Code, which is in effect through the end of 2022. Please be sure to carefully review this code at this link. Again, it's also linked to in the next activity in this course. Starting in 2022, BCBAs will be required to follow the ethics code for behavior analysts. It's a new name with some pretty neat changes. And you'll learn more about both of these codes when you take the ethics course. But I'd strongly encourage you to familiarize yourself with the codes now. Be sure to ask your supervisor if you have any questions about ethical behavior in the applied settings where you work, since they're going to be familiar with the context in which you're working. Students may file a notice of alleged violation against a VCS through the Behavior Analysis Certification Board's complaint process at bacb.com. The link's right here. It's also in the next activity. All right, please listen very carefully to what I'm about to say now, because this is a very serious issue and one that I've needed to regularly address with students. And I want to make sure that you don't run into problems with the BACB due to this. And also you could potentially harm clients related to this. Okay, so until an individual passes the BACB exam, he should not mention the BACB or any BACB credentials, such as BCBA, BCABA, in any way. Individuals have to be careful to accurately describe and represent their qualifications and certification status so as to not mislead others. Although you may earn a certificate of completion when you finish a VCS course sequence, this does not mean you're certified. If you need to describe your status while you're working on your coursework, you can state that you're working towards national certification as long as you do not mention the BACB, BCBA, or BCABA. Another alternative is to list the actual coursework and experience that you've attained without mentioning the BACB or any related credentials. Some examples of statements that are unacceptable because they mislead or misrepresent qualifications or certification status are listed here. For instance, BACB certification, certified in behavior analysis, BCBA candidate, BCBA pending. I plan to pursue BACB certification. I plan to sit for the BCBA exam. None of those should be stated to employers or to any people with whom you're working. And this is not just what you say. I think another big problem is if the place you work has anything like this listed on their website, be sure to look for that and ask them to take it down. Be sure to let them know about this, this rule. And this is very serious. Individuals may face disciplinary sanctions if qualifications or certification status are misrepresented. Disciplinary sanctions may include denial or revocation of certification, imposition of fees, and other sanctions against eligibility or certification. The content that I've used to discuss this is drawn from the BACB website. For more on this topic, see the September 2008 BACB newsletter and the BACB Professional and Ethical Compliance Code on the BACB website. Once again, these are linked to in the next activity in this course. All right, if you have any questions about the content of this orientation, please be sure to contact us using this information. And thank you so much for listening to this orientation. I hope you enjoy your class. Bye.